everybody, and welcome to the Thrive After Divorce show, where we bring in all the tools and experts so you don't just survive life, but thrive during and after, especially in a time of divorce. Today, we have a guest from England all the way here to join us, Alicia Wilks.
Yeah, Alicia Rios Wilks.
Rios Wilks. Say your name again for me.
Alicia Rios Wilks.
Rios. It's that beautiful accent you have. I'm like, I can't get the dialect. But Alicia is the starter and owner of Self Freedom, and you specialize in human consciousness and how to transform your life, basically with manifestation.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I like to call it conscious creation, but yes, it is that concept of manifesting. Yeah.
Yeah, just that for that buzzword of people to connect the two of conscious creation with the idea of manifesting. And you have studied a lot. You are a former scientist in a field of biology and biomedical research.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, because I would think there's a lot of science behind your work, and you're the founder and creator of Self Freedom, where you help people transform their lives and achieve their highest potential. You're also a professional licensed rapid transformational therapist, hypnotherapist, and magnetic mind coach. I love that idea of our minds really are magnets. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and you are here. You're going to tell us the techniques you developed and the different levels of consciousness and how we can create a powerful shift in our life. So welcome.
Absolutely. Yeah, thank you so much for having me. Such an honor and a pleasure to be here.
Well, the pleasure's ours. So tell us a little bit, your bio is really from science to a magnetic mind coach.
Yes.
But still that word magnet, I mean, it's still a science. So tell us.
Yeah, so quite the transition. Yeah, I started off in biology. I've worked in biomedical research, and I absolutely loved it. I still love science. But you know, as I came to discover more and more of my true self, I would say, I really realized that that wasn't exactly my path that I wanted to take. So I just started stepping more and more into this kind of work, the idea of creating transformation in our lives and really choosing the life we want to have and then making it happen. So yes, I studied rapid transformational therapy and hypnotherapy. That's very much a way to work with the subconscious mind and create huge shifts that way for people. I then, yes, studied and became certified as a magnetic mind coach. That is another incredible body of work, a lot of powerful tools and techniques, and it introduced me to another level of consciousness that we call the superconscious. Super because it lies essentially above our self-conscious mind. So I now also work with that level of consciousness to also create shifts, treatment, and transformation.
Wow. I'm wondering, do we know, or do people know how many levels of consciousness there are?
Yeah, so you can model it in 3 levels. So the superconscious, the self-conscious, the thinking mind that we're in right now, and then the subconscious.
Okay, so I didn't know where the subconscious fell in. So the subconscious is the bottom.
Yeah,
it kind of lies aware of.
It kind of lies beneath our self-conscious mind, and it was formed before our self-conscious mind. It began forming around the 3rd trimester of pregnancy, And it's very much what we lived in as a child. We don't form our self-conscious mind until the age of about 5 to 7 years old. So as a child, we were purely, living out of our subconscious mind. So most of what is contained within that level of mind was really sort of inputted, you could say, when we were a child.
It's kind of, I'm picturing right now like a GPS system, like our subconscious is guiding us and we really don't even know. It's on automatic. And then the GPS, we type in the directions, or people program them for us and give us our direction in life that we think we've been told or taught. But the super conscious, are we aware of that?
Not really most of the time. It's to access it it requires a technique, but really it's always there. It's a part of us. It's always, we are always connected to it, but not necessarily consciously aware of it and what it contains. You can think of it as just another memory system. Each level of mind has its own set of memories that are informing us on how to be, how to show up in life, basically how the world is. And the superconscious, it was present like before the other levels of mind, and it also contains memories that were passed down through the family line. So we are aware now that memories and traumas, for example, can be passed down from generation to generation. And the superconscious is where those memories are kind of stored, if that makes sense.
It does to me. It's like our DNA blueprint kind of that just comes with us. So is your superconscious kind of the same as your higher self?
Yeah, some people, there's lots of different names that people use. You can think of it, it's certainly a higher level of awareness. And I would say our higher self sits within it. But it is, I would say it goes beyond that and contains, like I said, memories and information not from our lifetime as well, from others.
Yeah. So since our listeners are mainly somewhere in the divorce container, and that is really a time where our thoughts can have a lot of fun in the playground of our mind and subconscious. So I'm thinking we have so much more power and control than we're aware of with our thoughts. So what would you tell people in that divorce arena about their thoughts and the power they can do?
Yeah, absolutely. It can be so difficult to, when you've experienced something whereby your circumstances change, there's something that you had and you lose it. And particularly when it's something that we value, it can really, it can feel like we've lost something that gave us a sense of self. If we were identifying with that thing, it can feel like we've lost something that gave us value. I know from my experience, when, not from divorce, but when I've lost something that I identified with. Yeah. So to me, it was part of who I am. It gave me, I thought, value. So once I lost that, it can feel like you are lost. It can feel like you are no longer who you used to be, and somehow that you're less than. So in that case, your thoughts can certainly go down an extremely negative path, and you can begin to have what we call looping thoughts. where you kind of just go round and round, reinforcing the same negative thoughts and beliefs, and thus behaviors. But we certainly have so much power, I think a lot more than most people are aware of. And, you know, one way to really step into your power, access it and utilize it, is to be aware of these other levels of consciousness, and to recognize that you are so much more than you perhaps thought. And in addition, you know, on that topic of identifying with things and seeing it as something that makes you who you are, when those things are temporary, for example, a relationship or perhaps a job, perhaps it's even your physical health, if it's something that can change, can be taken away or given away or lost, I would really love for people to separate themselves from it, to know that they are more than that. You know, those things, those circumstances in our life, they are not who we are. You know, we are the one with the power to create outcomes. We are not the outcomes themselves. So,
oh, good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really, it's making success or failure, or however you define what's happened, it's making it, well, not making it personal, knowing that it doesn't define you. It doesn't mean anything about you. You know, your true self is untouchable. You know, you're still absolutely as perfect and worthy and good enough and significant as you always were. You know, that's unwavering, that's unchanging. So no matter what's going on in your life, I want you to recognize that your true self isn't affected by any of that.
No, our mind might be.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, our subconscious mind in particular loves to take things personally.
Yes.
That's why children will always do that. You know, when a child, basically whatever is happening around a child, they'll always take it personally. They'll believe that it must be because of them. Yeah, so I mean, for example, when parents split up, the child will look at that and they're really not capable of using, you know, logic and saying, oh, well, you know, that's their choice, their decision, it's not about me. They will always say, it must have been something I did, maybe I caused this. They always blame themselves. And for that reason, we can often develop these incredibly, I would say, disempowering and almost sabotaging beliefs when we're young that for most of us will still be there in our subconscious, even as adults. And the interesting but perhaps alarming thing is that, you know, we operate out of our self-conscious mind, our thinking mind, about 5% of the time. And they say that about 95% of the time we're operating out of our subconscious and those programs and beliefs that are present there. So it's an incredibly important level of mind. It has a huge impact on our life.
And how, for people that have been in a marriage for a long time, and maybe from a young age,
sure,
and they're coming out of it, and even if you weren't happy in it, even if you didn't like your spouse at the end, like what you said, you were part of something. You became part of a couple, part of a neighborhood, part of a group of friends that gave you value. or you felt
thought
did.
maybe
You
value.
thought did. I mean, that you thought you're a part of this and that your world is breaking up.
Mm.
And they're listening to you and they're like, I don't even know who my true self is.
Mm.
How do you go back to find that true self that's untouchable?
Mm. Yeah, it's a simple but not easy concept. I would say, as I've mentioned, the first step is really kind of untangling yourself from all of these temporary things. An exercise that could be useful, for example, is if you just spend about 30 or 60 seconds and you challenge yourself, how many ways can I put an ending on this, the sentence, I am? So how many ways can you finish that? I am what? Perhaps it's a teacher or an athlete or a daughter, it could be anything. And if you just, spend a minute writing down all the ways that you can think of, those are all ways in which we are defining ourselves. We're saying that's my identity. Mm-hmm. But then if you look back at that list, I'd want you to, I challenge you to cross off anything that is temporary, that can either be taken away, lost, or, given away. You can choose to leave it and see what's left. And it's so interesting because I think for most people, there may not be much left.
I would think I've done something similar to that, and it comes down to like your faith, belief system. I mean, things that really can't be taken away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a very personal thing for each person. They may, each of us has our own truth. So I think once you can let go of or separate yourself from those temporary states or circumstances or things in our life, then at least it's kind of like you've cleared a space. Now you've cleared a space. Now you can, so perhaps you just want to contemplate it or look deeper or just sit with it. And just know that, you existed before you created those things. You existed before you had that. You've always been this, we are consciousness. And so we are the one with the power to create in this world, in this physical reality. And yes, it does go down to your own beliefs. For me, I choose to know myself as a part of the all, as one part of source energy, but it's definitely something that can be personal. But I think definitely the first thing to acknowledge is that you're more than all of that. Everything that you've put on the list and then crossed off, you're more than that. That you're not limited by those things.
I'm wondering if you took that exercise, because it's really good. It's simple, it's short. I am, and it starts from, like you said, an athlete all the way down to funny, whatever you are, I am. Yeah. But if you also did it with, I feel, and looked at it like what can pass, like what to, like sad or whatever, I am, I feel, and you could do it with so many things. I want, like that is just just a time to stop. But the I am is, like you said, and look at the list and cross off what could go away.
Sure. Yeah.
Is that what you said? Pretty much. Yeah. You cross off.
Yeah, because if it can go away, that's not who you are. No. Really our identity it can change, because all an identity
does. I mean, a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the the best summaries or definitions I've heard was from a mentor of mine. She said, our identity is really just our current understanding, experience, and expression of our true self. So it's just our current, it's how we currently understand it, or experience ourselves, or express ourselves. We can absolutely change, and we can, you know, we can be stood more or less in our truth, you know, more aligned with our true self or less aligned. I think the way to really know that is to, I think you'll feel it. I think, you know, we tend to feel a sense of peace or fulfillment or just love when we're living in alignment with our true self. I would say it's really living more from your heart and less from your head, because it's, you know, we call it our heart's desires. I would say they are our true, they are more of our truth, you know, what we're really here to do, because those things are always things that we love. And I,
so good. Our heart, so many things we just say, but we don't really stop and think. Our heart's desires are our true desires. And I also love how we feel currently. I'm changing. I have, I just give the tip when people are stuck that to add for now at the end, like, you know, it too shall pass. And I'm feeling this for now, or this is how it feels for now. But I feel like this is currently how I feel. Excuse me, has such a more positive, like, it's just current. This is just, it's like news in our daily news. It's current news, and it's going to pass. It's not staying current.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I think most people don't really realize is that our thoughts and our feelings are not truly reality. They don't reflect true reality. They are just our perception of it. So, for example, you can have two people experience the exact same event, but they will have different thoughts about it, different feelings. They'll interpret it differently. They'll react differently, because the way we think, the way we feel is based on our perception. It's, you know, we filter information when we're observing. When we receive information, we then filter it through, you know, lots of different things, including our beliefs, our past experiences, all of these different things, our definitions. And then we create an internal representation of the external world. So what we're really understanding, what we're perceiving, is only our internal representation. So we can have these thoughts and feelings about things, but I think it can be really, I would say, empowering to just acknowledge this isn't the truth of reality. This is just how I'm currently perceiving it. And I can choose to perceive it differently. You know, I can choose to know that, you know, thoughts and feelings, they're not me. I'm just observing them, experiencing them. It's not, they feel very real, but that doesn't mean that they represent exactly what is real.
And I'm thinking of that in terms of divorce too. Like, two people can go through the same thing, have a different perception of what happened. But when we're going through divorce, and you know, tension can happen, or fights over things, because people's perception of the marriage or what they're entitled to, that whole thing, it's maybe not as personal, but you're going to have different perceptions of what your marriage was and why it failed.
Yeah, absolutely.
So here, I'm wondering this. So someone comes to you, Alicia, I'm heartbroken. I'm devastated. Can you hypnotize it away? For
Yes,
people that are
no.
wondering that, like, can I just go to get
Yeah.
hypnotized and this will all be gone?
I would say yes and no. I
Okay.
wouldn't.
It's kind of a meant to be like a joke question, but I mean, not a joke, but it's fun. But
Yeah.
really, so with hypnosis,
Hmm.
I haven't really talked about that, or
Yeah.
the power of it.
Mhm.
What is that capable of doing to the mind when it's in trauma?
Yeah, no, a lot. It is such a powerful technique and a method to use. And we, when I work with clients and use hypnosis, it's certainly very healing. That's how people describe it, incredibly healing. And, healing is really, as Dixie Gillespie says, healing is really just our return to our natural state of wholeness. That's what healing, or at least what I think healing really is. It's, we can feel as if we can feel broken, torn apart, less than. We can feel like we're somehow incomplete. And so often we do, especially after trauma. So the methods that I use and hypnosis as well is really about allowing the person to return to that state of being whole and feeling whole, and that's why it's so healing, I think, because we can address things that have happened. It can be memories. And so often when you revisit them in hypnosis and review them, you can really take a different understanding from it. You can look at it and see, oh, okay, this is the meaning that I gave to it. This is how I interpreted it and what I thought it meant. But you can also see, but that's not true, right? And so these, the way that it makes us feel and the beliefs that we can take on as a result of trauma, we can certainly go back and change them. If they're disempowering, if they're negative beliefs, if they're not serving you, then we can change them. You have the power to change your beliefs. So by going back and particularly in hypnosis, communicating directly with the subconscious mind, which is where all your memories from your life are stored, you can absolutely change how you interpret something, how it affects you, and how you then go forward in life.
Wow. Can you do, I'm sitting here thinking, I need it, but can you now, because you are in the UK, or people are all over and using Zoom and things, can you do it over Zoom, or does it have to be in person?
No, absolutely. I do work mostly online now. And yeah, it's amazing because it's just as effective. Really, as long as you can hear my voice, then we can do all of it. There is no need for me to physically touch my client. So it's really all about my voice and how I'm guiding them, directing them through the process. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now let's shift gears to the person listening. They're ready. They are ready to be happy. They are ready for a new life. They are ready for a new love. And the tips you could give them to pull in and manifest or be conscious of what they're pulling in, so they don't pull in the same patterns and partners they just got out of.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, what a huge question. It's okay.
Well, do what you want with it. Break it down, or I just the correct way to desire, attract, and manifest in your life was something I'd seen in your notes, and so
okay, yes. So so if we start off with desiring. That's kind of the first step in consciously manifesting or creating something. First, you want to know what you want to create. Now, there's a way to do it and a way not to do it. It's not that one is right or wrong. It's just that one is effective and other ways can be very ineffective. So what a lot of people tend to do is they start to desire something, or they create a goal purely based on a current or a past situation that they dislike. So there's something that they don't enjoy, they don't like. Perhaps, for example, they are currently not in a relationship, they're single, and they're having the experience that they feel lonely, they're not enjoying it, and they hate how it feels. So then they might create a goal because they don't like where they are now. Okay, I want to be in a relationship just because I don't want to be here. Or perhaps, they're broke and they say, I want to make lots of money. Why? Because I don't like being broke. It's really difficult. So when we're doing that, we're essentially problem solving, right? We're creating our goals and desires purely based on our dislikes, on a perceived problem. The issue with that is that it's like you're trying to run a race. Say you're here and you want to get over here. This is the problem. And you say, I just want to get as far away from that as possible. So you're trying to run this way, but you're constantly looking at the problem. That's your focus. That's what you are trying to get away from.
And
so you're
envision it. Yeah, you can't run away from something when...
Yeah, I mean, you can start moving, but you're really focusing your attention, your energy, your focus is going in the wrong direction. And it's very much, we think of the carrot versus the stick. It's very much that kind of stick energy. I don't want that. I want to move away from that. It's like a negative vision. And that can only really get us so far, because if your actions are driven purely because, if your actions are driven by pain, right? You're trying to get away from a state of pain or dissatisfaction. Then as soon as you move a little bit away from it, pain is less great. It's less intense. The problem, it doesn't seem so big. So then what happens to the motivation behind the actions? Well, then they stop. So people tend to move a little bit away from what they don't want. They never make it over here to what they say they want, because their motivation just diminishes, because now it's not so painful. Now they've avoided the problem. So what I would call the correct way, or the effective way to desire something, to choose something, to create a goal, is not to look for problems. It's very much, regardless of my present, regardless of my past, what do I want? What would I love to have? What do I want to see in my life purely because I love it? We've really forgotten how to choose things just because we love them. I think we've very much been taught that we're only allowed to want something if we can justify it or give reasoning and all these things. But the purest form of desire, that what is most true to us, are things that we want just because we would love to have it. We would just love that experience. So that's where I would like people to start, to like I said, not focused on your past or present or what you don't enjoy. Just, if you had a blank slate, if you could start anew, start afresh, what would you choose to have in your life? So that's where, that's how to sort of desire effectively and set up your goals effectively and powerfully. Next was the topic of how to attract, wasn't it? So once you have your goal or your desire, there are ways of being in the world or showing up in the world that can either attract more of what you want, or more of what you don't want. And it's partly down to our focus. Like I said, if you're focused on the problem, you're giving it your energy, you're keeping it alive, and really the problem is embedded in the solution because you created it in the same structure. It came from the problem. So that kind of focus is not what will allow you to easily move towards and attract what you want. But also on top of that is your emotions. We hold such a power just in the fact that we can actually choose the emotions that we wish to feel. In any given moment, if you just stop, close your eyes and say, you know, I choose to feel, let's say it's joy, or I choose to feel excitement or peace, or we do have the power to actually do that. We can literally create emotions. We don't have to have an external trigger. So what I teach people is to really start to live in the emotion of the end result. So by that I mean, imagine you already had what you wanted. It's complete. It's there in your life, you have it. How would that feel? So what would that feel like? And if you can start practicing that emotion and living from that kind of emotion and that experience of yourself, then you really do become a bit like a magnet to that desired reality. And if you look into, for example, Dr. Joe Dispenza's work with the quantum field, he puts it really nicely, talking about how when you can experience and kind of rehearse the experience of your potential reality, the reality that you desire, in doing that, you're entangling your energy with that potential reality. When you're experiencing that, your heart will produce a very strong magnetic field that will essentially kind of draw that experience to you. And there's a really useful saying that is, you've got to be it to see it. So it's very much about our identity, and the idea that if you can choose to shift your identity to match up with the identity of the person who already has what you want. So who would I be if I already had that? How would I feel? How would I think? What would I believe about myself? That's a big one. What would I believe about myself? How would I experience myself? If you can become that person and start living from that place, then you can really easily move towards it. You won't be sort of sabotaging yourself. You'll be able to easily move towards it and basically attract it to you. So emotions are a big thing.
They're huge. And for people who maybe they're so buried and they're not sure who they are,
Mm-hmm.
you gotta be it to see it, or the same I say, if you've spotted it, you've got it. When you look at other people, what you're drawn to in them, if it stands out to you, you have it in you. Like if you're drawn to confident people, you're somewhere in you, there's a confidence.
Yeah, absolutely. We can,
you know, that you can identify, like, look at the 5 people you hang out with. If what you love about them, because if you spot it, you got it.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, you can absolutely, you can sort of rearrange your understanding of yourself. You can choose how you want to experience yourself. And, you know, if you choose to be a confident person, of course you have it in you. It can feel extremely difficult. I absolutely understand. And the main reason for that really is these other levels of consciousness that we're not actively aware of. they're having a huge influence. So it can certainly be helpful to address those. And essentially, the important thing is to align all levels of your consciousness to your desired reality or your desired result, to who you want to be. Because you can consciously choose, absolutely. But you want to get your other levels of mind on board as well.
Yeah. I really think the exercise you gave is just such a great starting point for anyone, you know, coming out of a divorce or any transition, you know, anything where you've kind of, because when you're that entangled with someone in a marriage or it can do a lot to your mind. And I'm not even saying the other person meant to do things but to find yourself again, to start with the I am exercise. Do you have any other tips you would give for a starting point for people to get back to that higher level of who they are?
Oh gosh.
I mean, you've given a ton. I meant before we kind of start to wrap it up, is there any other little thing you?
One thing one thing that may help, because I found it very powerful, is really just, if you're doubting your sense of self-worth, or whether you're good enough, or if you feel like you're no longer feel so significant in the world, or if any of those aspects of your experience of self have perhaps wavered or crashed, maybe your self-esteem has gone down. One thing that I would like for you to just imagine for a moment is, if you took two, let's say £20 or $20 notes, and one was fresh out of the bank, completely new, and you kept it in a safe place, never used it. It was pristine, like it never saw, it was just absolutely kept in perfect condition. The other one gets used, you use it, perhaps you drop it, it gets a bit tatty, maybe it drops in the mud or gets left in the gutter for a while and you forget about it, and then someone finds it. Okay, after all of that, if you take both of those notes, I won't say pounds or dollars, whichever it is, take those notes into the bank, which one is worth more?
They have the same value.
Exactly. So when you have gone through, when you've had a lot of experiences in life that have really felt like they've, beaten you down, you feel like they've diminished you, or there's been a lot of trauma, a lot of difficulty, your value is still exactly the same. Wow. You are still just as perfect as, the day you were born. And, you look at any baby and you just think they're perfect, aren't they? You're still that perfect. It doesn't matter what you go through in life. Your worth is the same.
That is really a powerful and beautiful, simple way to really, for people to envision you still are the same value. You are the same worth.
Yeah.
I love that.
You're just as significant.
You're just, no matter how you feel about yourself or how you think you appear in the mirror, all that, because we've all had that old ratted up $20 pounder bill, but it spends the same. You don't turn it away and go, sorry, I want the perfect one.
Yeah.
So tell us, I know you have a new app coming out. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your app?
Thank you. Yes. I am creating an app called Self Freedom, and I'm about to launch a program which will be available for groups. So of course I'm available to work one-on-one with clients, but I'm also going to launch this group program. And it's really, if you want to master this you know, how to consciously create your life. If you want to go deep into all of that, do a lot of transformational work with me, then that program is absolutely for you, you know, and if it feels aligned for you, then I certainly do encourage you. That will be my group coaching program. I'm also about to take a group through a slightly more specific program. So on a specific topic, basically. And that topic is on what I call body freedom. So it's basically creating the body that you want to have without the struggle, the suffering, the compromise, and so I call it body freedom, no compromises, no BS. It's about really creating the health, the fitness, the vitality, the body that you choose to have, and letting go of all of that which has been you know, sabotaging that in the past or causing you to struggle. You know, perhaps it's trying to go through all the restrictive dieting or all of that, the ways that we, you know, we really impose these things on ourselves that is not pleasant, is not the way that I would choose to live my life, and probably not the way other people would truly want to. It's about having the life you want and the body you want. So they're going to be the two group programs that I'm about to launch. So very exciting.
It is. You're truly doing mind, body, soul. And I would think, thank you. And I would think the body too. I'm really losing words here because everything you said was so strong. And I loved when we create desires from a dislike, and then as we get away from the pain, it kind of falls off.
Yeah.
And I thought of, it's even like if you get a medication when you're sick and you start to feel better, then you kind of maybe don't finish the full dose. But with a body, the same thing. I'm thinking if people are like, I want to create this because I don't like feeling like this.
Yeah, so common.
And then as they get closer to their goal, maybe they give up.
Yeah.
Because your mind is so much part of your body.
Oh yeah, our brain, you can't really separate the brain from the body.
No.
Yeah, so yeah, absolutely. It's when you are choosing something for the love of it, choosing to create, you know, from and for love, then instead of needing to rely on motivation, you're really just going from inspiration. You're inspired to take that action. So it really makes things, we can create a lot of drive and, you know, really pull people forward towards their goals through using the right structure. That's how we put it. It's how you're viewing where you're going, where you currently are, your identity. There are a lot of nuances that I could talk about all day, but it's getting people into the right structure, making it easy for them to actually create what they desire.
Well, I'm happy that you mentioned that as well, so people know, because body image can play so much a role in divorce, coming out of divorce, with our mindset. We've mentioned the app. We'll have all your information listed, but tell us in your own words where people can find you, from Facebook to your own website. How can they?
Yeah, so my website is selffreedom.com with a dash, self-freedom. And I have a Facebook page called Self-Freedom Transformation. So I'd say they're the easiest places to get in touch. My email and contact details are listed on both pages. So you can always get in touch with me if you need anything.
And I'm sure on those pages, you'll be keeping people up to date for when your app comes out.
Absolutely. Yes.
And I'm going to encourage everyone, I'm going to do it myself, to like your page on Facebook and follow you. And that is one conscious step we can all take today to start filling the things we see each day and fill our mind feed with what we see of positive thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and if if anyone's interested, do let me know. And if you don't want to wait for the group program, you can always work with me privately.
Yeah. And as you mentioned, it's all can be done online. No one has to, you can work internationally.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've worked with people all over the world, which is just so amazing.
It is. It really is amazing what technology has allowed for people to share their gifts.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
Alicia,
Yeah, you and I both.
you, thank you. I have like just a whole page of notes I was writing in the corners all over. And I'm just so grateful. I'm very, very grateful for your time today and everything you shared.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to have had this opportunity to get to speak with you and, speak to your audience, all of the beautiful people watching.
Well, thank you. Have a beautiful day or your evening now in England.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Well, I wish you a wonderful day as well.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.